Nothing goes our way. Go big or go home. Mel Mel the Abuser. The master plan is working. A hard foul changes opinions. It's all coming up next on Tip Off. Boom, boom, boom. Jazz win in Portland. Boom, boom, boom. Big, huge win. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Jazz win in Portland. Boom, boom. How are you? Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off. Huge week on Locked On Jazz. Podcast coming today with Kevin Pelton. We actually did it in like 3 parts. The podcast will have like some of his projections actually from before last night's game. What a huge win according to Pelton. I think it was a win. We have a 64% chance to make the playoffs. When the loss, we were like 42%. So that's huge. Well, just enormous. And then so I interviewed Pelton before the game. We did a myth of whether Kentucky can win NBA games. That's our myth today on Mythbusters with Pelton. And then from there, after the game, I then sat back down with him for his thoughts on the young kids and the team as a whole. So I think that should be cool. I got to kind of spice it together. It'll probably be really incongruent, but I think you'll like it. Then Sekou Smith, who writes NBA Hang Time blog, is going to join us on Wednesday this week for the Locked On Jazz podcast. And then if you didn't catch it yesterday, Brent Barry was awesome. Love Brent. That was really fun. I wish I could just talk to these guys every week. They're so fun. So Locked On Jazz is huge. PKI should circle back on Thursday. I got to talk to PK and see if that works for him. But we're home this week, so it makes it easier. Woohoo! For the first time since February, we get to play 2 games in a row at home with like a day on each side. This is awesome. We lived through March and did it fairly well. National championship, congratulations to Kentucky. I don't have any real thoughts on it. Anthony Davis will be a great pro. But I have not seen a lot of other stuff other than that. Let's talk about the Jazz win last night. Nothing went our way yesterday. Holy smokes. When you can get this persecution complex pretty easily when you're watching the scoreboards last night. And you went to every game that was played last night. And, okay, we probably want Oklahoma City to beat Memphis. So Memphis goes and wins in Oklahoma City. We need Houston to lose. They go and win in Chicago. That's an enormous win. Dallas or the Clippers, I guess it doesn't matter. Dallas is really struggling, and the Clippers beat them by 19 in Dallas, which suddenly, by the way, has Dallas to +2 on road wins minus home losses, which means they are the exact same as the Jazz. They're in jeopardy of not making the playoffs if they're not careful. And then we need Sacramento to lose, and Jimmer finally busts out, has a big game, and they beat Minnesota. Minnesota and Portland are done. It is a 4-team race for 3 spots. It is Dallas, Denver, and Utah, who are all at +2 road wins minus home losses. And then it's Houston, who's +1. Dallas, the games behind is a little misleading. Maybe not that much, but Dallas has played 2 more home games and road games, 28 home games, 26 road games. Houston's played 28 home games, 26 road games. We have now suddenly played 26 home games and 28 road games. So if we avoid these Sacramentos at home, we got a shot, boys and girls, which really gets you to the master plan comment. Kevin O'Connor, it was quoted with Ian Thomason in Sports Illustrated, and we've talked to Kevin about this a lot. The master plan of this organization was to compete, make the playoffs, and give these young kids developmental minutes that matter. And you know what? The more I talk to people around the league, guys I really trust, somebody comes to town, I probably have some people I like and trust and believe I can get a good conversation with off the record. I've decided to have all these conversations off the record. I think I get better stuff because they got to be careful they're not criticizing their GM or maybe they're somebody the way they're doing things. Every single one of them says to me, winning minutes, playing minutes in which your players are trying to win and playing the game to win are far more important than just rolling out for 34 minutes. The exact quote somebody gave me was, Tonight, Derek Favors will play 19 developmentally meaningful minutes, and DeMarcus Cousins will just play 35. And Favors are better minutes. That's been hard for us as fans to handle. But regardless of whether, I guess to some extent, regardless of what you think of that and whether you believe it, that's how the league feels. Then you can decide whether you think it's right or wrong. But that was the plan. And to some extent, the only thing you ever ask out of your organization, I think, is to have a plan and have a goal. Portland has none. You see that. Sacramento, I'm not sure what they're doing, the teams we've seen recently. Our organization had a plan, and that was meaningful winning minutes. And boy, are our guys getting them. Gordon Hayward, Derek Favors had 35 last night. Gordon had 40. Those are huge, enormous, on-the-road minutes. And if you talk to people in the NBA, there is nothing like winning a big road game, going into that locker room afterwards and having that moment together with the guys where you just won a road game, and that's what those guys did last night. It was great. The big lineup changed everything, down 48-34, and Tyrone Corbin rolled Paul Millsap out at the 3, and Favors at the 4, and Jefferson at the 5. It did a lot of things. It was particularly good for that matchup because of the fact that it meant that Favors could guard Aldridge, and he got inside his dish, and Aldridge didn't know what to do at first. What was fascinating about watching that, by the way, is by the fourth quarter, LaMarcus Aldridge is an all-star, and he suddenly figured out what to do. And I'm so curious to see when we play them again coming up in a few games how Derek Favors reacts to this, because Favors really had him for about 2.5 quarters, and Aldridge didn't know how to get a shot off and where to go with it and what to do, and then he figured it out. And he kind of hard dribbled to the middle. Derek started to give a little room. He could get into where he needed to. He was able to negate some of Derek's lengths, and he scored on 2 or 3 straight buckets in a row. And now what happens when Derek tries to take that away? How does everybody react when he tries to take that away? Does he drop step in for big dunks and then Derek's really confused, or does Derek find a way to deal with this? That's part of the progression. Those are meaningful minutes. That's what we're talking about, and that will be a lot of fun to watch. Millsap killed it. Millsap playing the 3 killed it in that lineup, and really did went to Batum and was fabulous. And, I've never been a fan of this. I don't think Paul's a 3. There was a play where he tried to come off a pick and roll, and he looked really awkward doing it. That's kind of why I believe that. He's not a good enough outside shooter. And so there's some problems with it. However, the Lakers play Ron Artest in a 3, and those two are just not that different. I was trying to run around the league and see if there were other players that were all similar to it. There are times where it probably would be interesting against Phoenix. We already have a hard enough time trying to guard Channing Frye when he gets out there already. And so how are we going to deal with that? And then if Grant Hill may not play, so their 3 is probably Hakeem Warwick or someone of that nature who's frankly pretty similar to Paul. So it'll be interesting to see if we can continue to take advantage of that on the offensive end in a fashion that works. I didn't think that the young coach of Portland dealt with it very well. They had Luke Babbitt in the game as a 4, causing us all sorts of fits in the second quarter and late first quarter. Why they didn't go back to it. Going small against a regular lineup, if you believe that's going to work, then you should do it again against a big lineup. There's no reason why you should stop doing that. And why they never went back to that, I'm not sure. But what happens when someone tries to go small on that, and who can dictate? And can we stay big and force that into people? Not sure, but who cares? It's a great line. And maybe the bigger so I guess here's my point on that. Let me clarify. It's early still. I'm on 4 hours sleep. Not as sharp as I should be. I don't think it's a long-term solution. I think it is an in-game option on certain nights. However, for right now, with 12, 13 games left in the season, whatever we have, considering how our wing players are playing, Damari Carroll was just awful last night. CJ, we've been outscored 5 straight games with him on the floor, and he's not been very good. Considering how we've started games, how poor our wing play is, then this is a real option for us that we should use the rest of the way. This shouldn't have been this isn't a one-time thing. because simply our alternative isn't great. Now, long term, I'm not sure it's a solution. But for us as we are today, um, I would say it's a real alternative to use and an option for us to use. How about Mel Mel the Abuser? Jamal Tinsley just has a little way about him, doesn't he? Defensively, he's not great. And so that was a nice matchup because Raymond Felton really couldn't take advantage of it because Raymond Felton's not very good. They destroyed their entire franchise trading Andre Miller for Raymond Felton. By the way, we already have 3 point guards, so I'm not really sure how we move them. But Andre Miller, free agent next year, would be interesting, wouldn't he? For a year or two, until we find a future point guard. Just a thought. He's just such a good time and score player. Doesn't play very fast, but just great. I mean, that's what happened to Portland. They traded Andre Miller. But Tinsley just makes plays. Steal the ball. He's just on it. He's just a veteran, just savvy. The best play, the steal's incredible, of Nicholas Batum that changed the game. However, the real play there is he kept in that possession and bulleted it down to Millsap for the dunk. I mean, our offense had gone dry. We had gone 9. Al had just scored, but we had gone 9 shots in a row without scoring. Over 5 minutes without a point. We just couldn't score in that stretch at all. And let's, I mean, in fairness of our whole, Jamal's on the floor for all that stretch too, and we're not scoring. So he's not an all-star. He's got his flaws too. His flaw, frankly, is primarily defensively. He just is not as able to do the same things Earl is. Offensively, there's no question he's better. He's more aggressive. He sees the floor. He gives him more opportunities, and that was a great example of it where he just kept pushing on that play, and it was really cool. The final thing I would say on our team that is, and I'm just going to continually pound this, is we just play hard. I was talking as we got off the plane last night, about 2 o'clock, no, about 1:15, I think. We were on the tarmac last night, getting our luggage, and I was just talking to Ty for a quick moment, and that's what we're talking about. These guys just play hard. They play really hard every night, and it's really it's fabulous to be a part of. And I was talking to personnel people before the game last night, scouts and stuff, and frankly, we were looking at their lineup. Their lineups: Raymond Felton, Wesley Matthews, Nicholas Batum, LaMarcus Aldridge, Prisbilla. We're coming out with Al and Paul and C.J. Miles and Gordon Hayward and Devin Harris, and we were kind of talking that, gosh, maybe Portland, even after kind of clearing the deck at Gerald Wallace and stuff like that, certainly with Gerald Wallace, you'd say, gosh, that's a better team than the Jazz. They're better than we are, or more. You'd take that lineup, and the guy says, yeah, but you play hard. And that's really the essence of who we are. I think that covers most of my notes. Masters coming up. Do we talk Masters today? It's Tuesday. I'll give you a quick thought. I sneak a little Masters in today. I got a little thought for you. And he is my favorite golfer because he was a ski racer as well as a golfer. So I do mention him. But I want to put a little name out there to keep an eye on while everyone's talking about all the big names. Major champion Keegan Bradley has done some interesting things this year. He's played 9 tournaments. He's made 9 cuts. He's in 8. One of them was the match play. In the other 8 tournaments, he has finished in 7 of the 8. He's finished 15th or better. He finished 22nd in 1. He's had, in 8 tournaments this year, 32 rounds. He's been over par only 5 times. He's put up 275s. Otherwise, he has no round worse than a 73 all year. And in his last 4 tournaments, 2nd, 12th, with a 8th and 4th. You never know. The Woodstock, Vermont former ski racer, with everyone else may win his second major, and he may become the American darling. At least that's what I'm rooting for. Keep an eye on Keegan Bradley. He is probably playing better than anyone on the tour right now. Woods is a 4-1 favorite, by the way. McIlroy is 11-2. Mickelson's 11-1, and Keegan Bradley is 33-1. Hunter Mayhem, who won the Houston, is obviously up there. I think Bradley's the ninth most likely to win it. So it's not a total stab in the dark, but it's a guy that I would keep an eye on. All right. What a game last night. What a win. What a fabulous season. It's an absolute pleasure to bring it to you guys. I hope you had fun and tuned in last night. I was having a blast on the broadcast. I think I get Ron back for our next one, but I'll have to check that. And stay with us. Podcast coming up with Kevin Pelton. Podcast with Brent Barry, if you didn't catch it already. Sekou Smith coming up. Should be fun. All right. Talk to you guys later.